Today, 28 years after the official end to apartheid, we continue to see apartheid-like injustices being perpetrated against vulnerable, previously disadvantaged groups as a consequence of the government's new liberal economic development policies. Today, the perpetrator is the government, and its tool is gentrification. Salt River, a working-class neighbourhood located a few kilometres from the Cape Town CBD, is one of a handful non-white group areas that have managed to survive forced removals during apartheid. As is the case with Boerkaap and Woodstock, these historic neighbourhoods are under threat of gentrification. So when Baz Art, a street art company whose primary objective is the creation of a platform for street artists to make a living from their art, started creating murals in Salt River, it was perceived by some as artwashing.
The link between art and gentrification has been a neglected aspect of gentrification scholarship, as it emerged that art can be used as a conspicuous tool to appropriate and aestheticize markets of urban decay, as developers use artists as a form of regenerative detergent. This process is called artwashing, and it is described as a classic profit-driven regeneration maneuver in which artists and creative workers are used as tools for reshaping areas of decay into places of transformation.
It is evident that the intentions of Baz Art in Salt River was purely driven from an artistic desire to visually represent the beautiful complexities, thoughts, histories, and future hopes and dreams of the communities where they paint. Hence the term art washing is here used as art washing juxtaposed, where art serves as catalyst for creating social cohesion, foster a strong place attachment, and strengthening a sense of place.
So by the fact of having 5 neighbors that usually don't speak with each other, suddenly speak with each other, and do that multiplied by 100 walls, people actually make friends, and people chit-chat with each other and actually exchange. And so for me, what I realized, and I didn't expect, is that it really makes the community stronger.
Stellenbosch, South Africa's second oldest town, has experienced dramatic spatial and demographic transformation since the 90s. Now classified as one of the country's secondary cities, Stellenbosch is considered to be insulated from the harsh realities of South Africa. In view of the town's setting, history, natural beauty, and context of capital accumulation, it is no surprise that developmentally, Stellenbosch is bursting at its seams, a trend that is in all likelihood not going to disappear soon. In the context that cities are not naturally divided, they are actively partitioned, Professor Ronnie Donaldson's research has shown that Stellenbosch has been shaped by a number of processes over the past 2 decades. Touristification, studentification, informality, gating, and the latest addition to the menu is that of gentrification, as experienced in the surrounding traditional coloured-only group area rural hamlets of Pinnell, Jamestown, Wraithby, and Culmore. In 2022, the Stellenbosch Museum opened a permanent exhibition showcasing the histories of these hamlets.
Ons het begin met hierdie uitstalling oor die dorpies van Stellenbosch, omdat daar regtig 'n groot nodigheid was daarvoor. Ek het eintlik baie jare terug al besef dat 'n groot en belangrike deel van ons gemeenskap is nie verteenwoordig in ons dorpsmuseum nie.
It is our contention that if the process of gentrification is not going to be managed through bylaws or policy very soon, the hamlets may have found their final resting place in the museum already. Whereas art washing has clear associations with the use of art to add a gloss of creativity to areas to increase property prices, gentrify neighborhoods, and ultimately displace local people who cannot afford to live there anymore, we have used art as a tool to create an awareness among residents of the hamlets and to sensitize the local authority to the issue of gentrification and displacement. Hence the title of the project, Artwashing Juxtaposed. Art was used as methodology to link urban geography and awareness creation. A series of land art and visual art projects were undertaken since September 2021. Internationally renowned Stellenbosch-based land artist Strydom van der Merwe explains what land art is all about.
Gentrification is all about the land and ownership, and for those that have and those that don't have. And land art is exactly about taking artworks out of the gallery space and put it in the landscape. And by doing that, you include the people that walk around the art, which is wonderful, results in communication. And communication eventually results in to discuss an issue or a problem that exists. So everybody can talk about gentrification. And the reason for putting this artwork is to make people aware of the issues and the problems that we have with that. And I think through this artwork we create communication also for the outside, but also for the people that live in these areas, and for everybody that don't know that it actually exists. And visually, we live in an age of visual images. And we all know that a visual image is so strong, and through a visual image you can create a discussion and a topic which people can discuss and talk about.
The first case study hamlet was Jamestown. A month-long land art installation was constructed on a green strip abutting the Stellenbosch Square Mall on the periphery of Jamestown in September 2021. Van der Merwe designed the land art concept. Professor Donaldson and his honours urban geography students assisted in the construction and installation respectively. 20 small White House structures were installed to represent smallness, uniformity and sameness of the Jamestown community. Additionally, a bigger house structure painted in red was installed to represent the starting point of gentrification. Over the next couple of weeks, bigger red house structures were added, showcasing how gentrification spatially impacts on the once closely knitted community of Jamestown. In April 2022, the third-year visual arts students at Stellenbosch University focused on Jamestown in two ways, creating animations and photographic documentation.
Ek is Mieke Hol en ek was die dosent vir die tweede jaar visuele kommunikasie studente. In die eerste week het ons tekeninge gemaak van die omgewing en om die argitektuur, die mense wat daar woon te ondersoek deur middel van teken. In die tweede week van die projek het ons toe gaan interviews doen en onderhoude doen met die mense wat daar bly, spesifiek met besighede, families wat al jare daar bly, en ook net mense wat op die straat rondgeloop het. So die studente stories versamel oor die dorp, positiewe en minder positiewe stories, en so het hulle gereflekteer op die atmosfeer deur 'n vorm van animasie.
Last term, I did a project on animation about Jamestown. In the project, we had to look at Jamestown as a whole, but also the past of Jamestown and how over the years, gentrification has affected Jamestown in different ways. And one thing that really stood out for me was the older Jamestonians who sort of reminisced about the old Jamestown and the Jamestown with strawberry fields and swimming in the river and all those sorts of things. So I wanted to capture that, but also the instability of the recent years with lots of inkomers coming in and forcing them to move out of their house.
I was the head lecturer for the photographic component of the Jamestown project that the students engaged in their second term. And using photography as a lens to creating work, we did visual research on the history of the town via means of meeting with many of the town leaders and getting their ideas around the history of the town, where the town is going.
In 2022, the focus turned to Pinnell and Wraithby, as was the case in Jamestown. Honours urban geography students conducted field research to observe, interact and understand the opinions of residents on development-led gentrification. In-depth interviews were held with prominent members of the community, including long-standing residents and newcomers. In addition, maps were created in GIS showing the percentage increase of property valuation over time. Their findings were presented in groups. The students also assisted in building some of the land art project structures and the installation thereof. In Pineal, the artist's conception of the land art installation was literally to flag the concern that should the municipality not manage the process of gentrification through policy, the end result could be a radically transformed Pineal within the next 10 years. Flags are used as it is symbolically meant to mark an item for attention, in this case, gentrification. International code flags and red safety warning cones were used to represent warning signs of gentrification. Each of the 4 different code flags' meaning portray a resistance. In Wraithby, 18 white wooden house structures were tied together and grouped in a circle to form a kraal with 3 red locks representing the close-knit community. The kraal thus juxtaposes the historic Wraithby close-knit community, but in juxtaposition also the ongoing security-gated developments that take place there. The installation was erected on the grounds of a church in Wraithby, the symbolic heartbeat of both villages. In over a year since the first land art project was installed, the project has gained traction. A few days after the flag installation was installed, the local Pineal Community Development Forum requested the project team to address them on the purpose of the land art and on the issue of gentrification. On a rainy night in midwinter during a meeting that mostly took place in the dark due to load shedding, concerned residents shared their views with some members of the project team in a packed local community hall. At the meeting, the idea of a protest was proposed. Subsequently, the Community Development Forum arranged a silent protest on the historic church grounds on Youth Day, June 16th. In what can be considered a curated protest, posters were designed by the land artist and hung in gallery style. A memorandum of concerns about gentrification was handed to the local councillor as well as Professor Tuli Madonsela. Similar memorandums were emailed to the mayor's office by representative groups from Jamestown and Wraithby. Upon request from the Wraithby Ratepayers Association, the project leader also addressed the community in Wraithby. It was clear that what was needed is a unified voice to approach the municipality. A WhatsApp group that includes representatives from the various community organizations in the hamlets was created. The local newspaper covered stories about the project on 2 occasions. By now, the municipality was well aware of the project, and the project leader was invited to give a short presentation at a focus group session with councillors, municipal officials in the Spatial Planning Department, and delegates from the Development Action Group, as well as the Lincoln Institute of Land Policy. Subsequently, the project leader held meetings with the councillor responsible for planning and addressed the municipality mayoral committee on the issue of gentrification in the rural hamlets. Altruistic acts are far and few between. After the Pineal community meeting, the owner of a 12,000 square metre property in the hamlet of Culmore offered to donate the land for the development of gap housing, specially aimed at residents from Culmore and Pineal. For the last phase of the project, a forum meeting with all stakeholders are planned for Heritage Month in September 2022, and the urban geography scholars on the project will submit a policy recommendation document to the municipality. A land art project in Culmore, as well as urban geography and visual arts students' projects, are also planned. The project will conclude with an art exhibition to showcase some of the artworks completed in the project, as well as the premiere of a documentary film on the project. In this project thus far, we have come to understand that the old saying, geography matters, can perhaps be rephrased to, geography and art matter more.